Hi, thank you so much for tuning in to P2P Relates, where we talk about all things relationships. I'm Pat Renfro, and today we're going to continue on the journey we've been on this month, where we've been talking about how to find your mate. We started out the first week in September talking with Keith Smith, and we were just exploring what are some of the possible reasons that singles are unable or unsuccessful in finding a partner. And at the end of it, we talked about some things that I'll reiterate today, but I thought it would be important and I got feedback from the audience that we needed to go a little deeper. And so that's what I want to do today. I want to give you 7 things that you can do that will improve your chances of getting a mate. If you follow me, you know that I always start with the foundation principle of you gotta know yourself. You gotta know who you are, and you've got to learn how to accept that. You've got to not compare yourself with others. We were all made individually. Our Creator made us, and our job is to figure out what's in us and pull that out and do the best we can with it. Be good stewards of what we've been given. Maybe I wasn't given a fantastic voice, or maybe I don't have the beautiful appearance, or maybe I'm not the strategic thinker in a business situation. But we all came with different gifts, and we all need each other for those gifts to make the world go round. So number 1 is figure out who you are, because if you don't figure out who you are, when you get into a relationship, it's going to be too late, because your emotions will be involved. A lot of expectations are there, balancing things that we just assume are going to occur and happen in the relationship, the dreams that you brought into everything about who you are, whether it's good, bad, strong, or weak, is going to enter into that relationship, and that's what's going to manifest through the relationship. I've talked to so many people over the years to find out what happened that they got divorced, or what happened that they ended up in relationships where they were devastated. And more often than not all the time, but more often than not, the person wasn't really fully developed yet before they got into that relationship, and the relationship destroyed them. So you've got to know your own soul. You've got to know who you are and what you're here for, which goes into number 2. Identify what your purpose is. Really work on that. Figure out, okay, what are my gifts? What am I naturally good at? And what is it I am supposed to be doing in my life at this time? And get to it. Get to it. Don't say, yeah, okay, so I'm going to get to that eventually. No, you need to be already in it, trying to do it. I don't mean you've arrived and you're already 100%. I'm just saying, if you know you're a writer, you need to be getting the discipline of writing on a regular basis. You don't need to say, well, after I get married and find my soulmate, then I'll be stable and healthy and happy enough that no, you need to work on that now. And that needs to be when you meet that person, you need to be able to talk to them about how you're already in that and what you're doing. Maybe you're not published, and maybe no one knows that you're a writer, but you've got some type of connection with a group, or you've got a writing habit that you're doing, or you've got a project that you're working on, you've got somebody helping you. Those are things you need to be already in when you meet that person. You need to know what your purpose is. Number 3, take the time to sit down and write out what you want in a relationship. What is it you're expecting? What is it you're willing to give? What is it you're not willing to give? What is it you won't accept? Write it down, get it clear, so that you know way before you ever meet an individual that exudes what you want, way before that ever happens, you've got it written down. Now, this is real life. You are not going to be able to figure out every little nook and cranny. And even when you do all these 7 things and anything else you'll hear me talk about, you're going to get in a relationship and it's going to be work. But guess what? If you become a parent, that's work. If you get into a new career, that's work. Life is work. So we just want to be purposeful so that we end up in the work that we enjoy, in the work that complements us. I want to say one more thing about 3. Keep in mind that when you get this relationship, it'll be like a new car. I'll say the analogy. When you first get in that new car, it smells so good. Now, I've heard some people say, not necessarily to them, but generally speaking, the new car smell has its own distinct smell, and it's, for me, fabulous. I'll speak firsthand. And the paint job is perfect, especially if you buy a brand new car. But even with the used car, they've got it detailed to the point where it's just extraordinary. And so you pick the car you want, you're willing to make those payments, and you drive off the lot, and you're the happiest person in the world. This is your happy moment. And we'll talk about that next. But anyway, and that car eventually, no matter how well you take care of it, no matter how clean you keep it, wash it correctly, and all those things will wear out. The new car smell will go away. Even if you buy a deodorizer, it's not going to be the same. Bottom line, that will wear off. But if you take care of that car, and if you value that car, and if you treat that car with appreciation, saying, hey, it's getting me to work or wherever else I've got to go, that car will pay dividends for you down the road. And way after it's no longer worth a whole lot, it'll be worth a lot to you. And that's the way relationships, you should go into a relationship understanding that no matter how perfect they seem to be, because we're not perfect, no matter how evolved they are or how much like you they are and how happy you all are, the infatuation is the stage you're going through, and it will wear off. It will, no matter how wonderful your love is. It doesn't mean you won't love each other anymore. In fact, as the infatuation grows off, the maturity increases, and you're able to love each other in a real way, the permanent, the long-term, forever way. Because I'm not loving you because you're so wonderful and perfect. I'm loving you because I made a decision to love you. This some of my other videos. You want to make sure that you know what you want and that you have realistic expectations, that I'm going to meet a person who's going to complement my life. I'm going to be willing to know what I'm willing to give in this relationship, what I won't take, or what my deal breakers are. Figure that all out. Have it written down, because you want to be so clear that when you meet this wonderful person, you can go back to that list and say, does this line up, or am I letting my emotions run away from me? Okay, enough of that for now. I want to hear more. Put it in the comments below. The 4th thing to think about, be happy. Be happy with you right now. Be happy as a single person. Be happy where you are. And then as you progress, maybe you start dating or whatever, just know that you have a responsibility to live a life of gratitude. If you want to have good results and great endings, you've got to look at life and figure out where the dandelions need to be pulled up and where the budding roses are already planted. You've got to be able to really say, you know what, anything can be worse. But right now, in the midst of this sucky day, at least I can say, da-da-da-da-da. At least I can look at this and recognize where the blessings are, because that's what gives you your strength. And if you have joy, you have strength. If you go down and you start looking at everything that's not working, it pulls you down with it. And before you know it, you won't be able to see anything of gratitude. So in order for you to have a successful relationship, once you meet that person and sustain it, you've got to know how to be happy within yourself and happy throughout the day, because life is rough and life is hard, and it's going to deal you a lot of bad cards, and you've got to make the best out of it. And it starts with your attitude. So that's 4. The 5th thing, be around the kind of people you desire to marry. If you want a tall, dark, and handsome, intelligent, successful career person, then you better be getting around some of those kind of people. You can't stay in your house. I know it was COVID, and I know we had to be socially distanced and be careful even still. But the bottom line is, if you stay in your house all the time, most likely you won't meet him. Now, caveat I want to put in here. Obviously, there are plenty of people who have busted past all my little steps and stages and numbers. You've met somebody when your hair looked the worst and when you didn't know who you were, didn't know barely your name, didn't like yourself, maybe been a little bit overweight, and you met somebody with rollers in your head. I get it, and that can happen. But there's a bunch of you, face it, that have been waiting for years. And so these are things that you can do in case the do nothing is not working for you. So yeah, two things. One, you need to get out the house and go do things and be around people who are like-minded. Be around the kind of people that you would like to be married to. Be around the kind of people who would enjoy your company. I love to play games. I like backgammon back in the day. I like playing cards. I play Words with Friends and some other things too. Some games I do like to play alone. Other games I like to play it and then wait for the person to play me back. So ideally, when I remarry, I want to be with somebody who doesn't mind playing games. Now, maybe they won't like to play them to the degree I like to play them, but for someone who's totally disinterested, that might not be a good idea. Again, I'm not going to meet somebody that's going to meet every need. In fact, if I'm marrying for that reason, I'm marrying and I can look forward to disappointment. But I do want to be able to say, yeah, let's get some commonalities going here. So look for that. Okay. And the next one, let people know you're ready. That's not putting the responsibility on them to introduce you. No. But if people know you're ready, they may run across somebody and they think of you and go, oh my goodness, Pat and this person right here would really gel. Wow, we've got to introduce them, or at least tell one or the other about them and see where they can find them or whatever. I don't know. But when people know, it's kind of like when employers are looking for an employee, they would much rather hire someone that was recommended to them because that person's kind of vouching for that person. Whereas if I have to do interviews and look at resumes, I don't know you from Adam's house cat. So you may be a really good interviewer and may be able to say whatever you need to say to be heard and of interest to me. But if I can be referred to someone, oh wow, that's going to go a lot further. So likewise, if I'm introduced to someone because somebody else knew them, that's going to feel a lot better because at least they have some character reference of who that person is. So just let people know. You never know what might come out of that. And then the final thing takes me all the way back to what the first video talked about. We put so much energy in getting an education. The first part of our educational career is forced by law. We're supposed to be in school. We don't have a choice. We have to go to school those formative years from K through 12. But then if you go to junior college or you go to undergrad or you get your master's or your doctorate, look at how much work that took, how much intentionality that took, how much planning that took. You didn't just jump up one day and go like, yeah, I guess I'll go to school next week. No, you had to research, you had to figure out what school made the most sense for what your goals were, the background, blah, blah, blah. And then when you got out of school, and way before you got out of school, you started looking for a job. You had to figure out what type of company, geographically, where you wanted to be, what the salary was. You went through all that effort, right? Point taken. You need to do a similar effort if you really want to be mated. You can say, I'll just be found. You can say, if it's for me, it'll happen. But did you say that for your career? Did you say that for your education? Did you say that when you wanted a house? Did you just say, well, the house that's for me is just going to manifest? At some point, in most cases, anything's possible. You had to think about it. You had to figure out what you wanted. You had to know what neighborhood you wanted to live in. What type of house do you want? There's 5 or 7 different types of houses. You know, you have to figure out, do you want to be on the same level, or do you want a mansion, or do you want a small picket fence? I mean, all those things you had to put thought into before you sign 1,500 sheets of paper saying that you were going to be liable for this house. Likewise, we need to give that much effort into the person that we're hoping to spend the rest of our lives with. So I hope that these 7 things are enough for you to think about, so you can really dive in and figure out how you want to navigate. And I hope it gives you some hope, because for those of you who have been waiting for 15, 20, 30 years and almost at a point of kind of considering giving up, don't give up. Just think about, just start from the back and go forward. Have you put as much effort into that desire of finding a partner as you have in the rest of your life? All right, take care. Give me a thumbs up. I would love to hear your comments at this point and your input. Maybe there's some other areas that I should have brought up and I didn't. Why don't you put them in the comments below for those in the future who will look at it? Tell others about it, forward it to them. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next week. Bye.